What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Geselle and I'm an ultrasound technologist that is willing to help you guys with any questions that you guys have. Any questions at all. I put out there the opportunity for you guys to ask me any question that you like. This is a Q&A and a video that is going to be brought all together because of you guys. So thank you so much to everyone who put in a question. You guys, there's a lot of questions that I'm probably about to go through right now. So I hope you guys stick with me. I literally was like for the past couple of days trying to think about how I could make this interesting. And seriously, when I look up Q&As on YouTube, the only things people really do are like eat while they answer questions, mukbangs and things. And I don't know if you guys were there at my live couple, let's see, I don't know if it was like last week or something, but I did have a live and I was basically eating my mac and cheese dinner and I was like, how do people do this? Because I don't know how to do this. So I just decided to make a video and talk to you guys straight up, answer your guys' questions. So honestly, it's just gonna be me and you hanging out. Like we're just hanging out in a room together. So with that being said, I want you guys to grab a snack, grab a drink. If it's your first time here, welcome. I hope you like this video. I hope you subscribe to the channel and join our family. So without further ado, is it further ado? Without further ado, let's get started. Brittany asked, how did you perfect your scanning skills? Honestly, scanning skills comes with time and practice. Your skills are not gonna come in a day, they're not gonna come in 2 days, they're gonna come with lots and lots of practice. You have to know that when you're first going to your lab, you're not gonna know what you're looking at and you're not gonna know how to find things. So with practice, with asking your lab teachers, your professors, when you ask them, you know, for their tips and tricks on how to find things and how to perfect your skills, that's how you're going to learn. You're gonna learn in the field, you're gonna learn when you're scanning actual patients, because every single time you scan your classmates in lab, they're all pretty much gonna be normal for the most part. So when you get into the field, you're gonna get people who are abnormal or have large body habitus, and you're gonna feel like all of your skills that you just had has gone out the window. Be patient with yourself. In due time, I will get the right picture. The pancreas, for example, is the hardest thing I feel like to find on any person, even if you're really skinny or even if the patient's really big. Sometimes the pancreas can just take forever to find, when really there are certain strategies and skills that you can do to help it come out and just poof, there's the pancreas. Do what you can in lab as much as you can. Then when you go to clinicals, that's where you're going to ask your mentors, your preceptors, like, hey, how did you do this? How did you find this? Please help me, you know, figure out how to find this, so that when you are scanning your patients, you're gonna know that in your mind and you can find the organ faster. So your scanning skills are just gonna come with time and practice. Please don't give up, and please don't kick yourself in the butt if you can't find something, because we were all there. So what's your favorite basketball team? Well, I don't really watch basketball as much as I do football, but my family loves the Chicago Bulls because I was born in Chicago and we are all from Chicago. So I'll say Chicago Bulls. Do you think the Buffalo Bills will win the Super Bowl this year? I don't know. I haven't really been following football, you guys. This year has just been really weird. Ever since I found out that the games are gonna come back, nobody in the stands, I don't know, it was just like weird. How do you edit your YouTube videos? I use iMovie to edit my videos. My boyfriend also edits some of my videos with, I think it's Final Cut Pro. When I have those little like subscribe moving thingies, he's the one that does that. So I'm just really basic and do iMovie. What made you realize you wanted to go into the job you're in? I started off as a nursing student and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I do have this video here, which I talked about my journey from nursing student to ultrasound student, and I knew I wanted to give back and I knew I wanted to help others and take care of others, and I wanted to be in the medical field. So those were the things that I started off knowing as what I wanted to do when I grew up. When I found ultrasound from one of my sorority sisters, I basically fell in love with it, and the rest was history. Gloria also asked what got you into ultrasound, so that pretty much was it. A sorority sister told me about ultrasound because that's what she was doing. At the time, I just kind of didn't want to do nursing anymore. I felt like it wasn't for me. I felt like it was really stressful, and I wanted to do something that wasn't as stressful. And here I am choosing another medical field that was kind of stressful, but it's honestly not as stressful as I feel like nursing is. And once you love doing what you do, if you find a job that you love doing, the stress load I feel like is like much less because you actually enjoy your job and you love doing what you do. So at that point, you know, I go to work loving what I do, so the stress level, although could be high, it's just a little bit lower. How do you deal with workplace stress as a sonography student? When I was a student, you know, honestly, if anything would stress me out, there was a week I remember where I was getting a bunch of pneumos when I had thoracentesis, and they had to go into like a huge investigation because I was the student that assisted in all of those thoracentesis procedures. I mean, it got pretty stressful. I cried. I spoke to the supervisor. I made sure I talked to the other technologists that I trusted for their advice. And to be honest, you have to learn from other people around you. If you are starting to stress out as a student, you should kind of take a step back and think about, okay, what am I stressing about? What is the importance of what's happening right now? And is this going to affect me right now in this moment? Is this going to affect me tomorrow? And figure out what can you do to alleviate this stress and to make the stress go away. Should you talk to your preceptor or your mentor and just tell them, hey, this is what's happening. I feel stressed out about this. And usually they should be able to guide you, give you guidance. If they can't do that for you, unfortunately, try to seek out a friend, a classmate, family members, talk to them and see if you can get some advice, because it is stressful and you start to see things in the workplace that you probably have never seen before. You probably should talk about it, obviously not about the patient or any patient information because of HIPAA, but you should definitely talk to someone about how you're feeling, because stress can take a toll on your body and it can also make the rest of your days really hard. If you're a current student who's stressed out, definitely reach out to me because I will give you my advice and what I think. Things are hard. It's tough being a sonography student. Definitely ask for help, especially if you start to feel like you're getting stressed out. Who is your inspiration? My family. They're very hard-working people. They are very loving, caring, hard-working people. So everyone in my family, from my mom, my dad, my sisters, my uncles, my aunts, even my grandparents and my great-grandparents who aren't here with us anymore. But I was definitely surrounded by a ton of people who are very loving and caring in my life. So I can definitely give them all of my love and thank them for the inspiration that they've given me and instilled in me. I think that I'm very kind and supportive because I have such a kind and supportive background. So yeah, my family is my inspiration. Emma asks, how long have you and your boyfriend been together? We've been together for over 3+ years. We were friends in high school, friends throughout college, but we didn't actually start dating after I graduated from college, and now he's going to medical school. So we kind of, our younger years, had our fun and did our thing, but now we've been together for over 3+ years and we're pretty serious, so hey, love you, babe. How did you study? What was your biggest struggle in school? Any failures in school? Oof, loaded question there, Alex. Honestly, I'm a really bad study person. But when I studied, I made sure I studied. So I made sure I had like study guides. I would write down words, definitions, I would highlight them. For me, I'm a visual person, so I had to make sure I wrote things down or I typed them up, those kinds of things. I would have notes on my laptop and I would type whatever the teacher was saying when they would talk with their PowerPoints. I would have my laptop and I would type what I could, and then I would write on a notebook. So I did a lot of things multitasking. I was not a flashcard person, but I liked highlighting and writing notes. I feel like writing notes is kind of what I like to do. I would make sure I would talk to other classmates and talk to friends in those classes to make sure I knew what I was studying and I knew the answers to whatever the questions were. So definitely find a study group because they will definitely help you, confirm that you know what you're talking about. My biggest struggle in school, I guess it was pretty much making sure I got the grades because at first when I was a nursing student, so this kind of blends in with the failures in school, I have had failed classes before. So, obviously when you fail a class, it's kind of like depressing. You probably didn't try hard enough or you were going through things in life that caused you to fail at a class. So that was a really big thing. Some of the classes I didn't pass the first time and I had to retake them again. So I am not perfect. I was not the most perfect student ever either. But, I had to learn when I failed to keep going and to keep trying and try again and to do whatever I could the next time around to pass. I mean, there were a couple classes that I had to retake. I think statistics even, which was one of the easiest classes, I didn't pass the first time around. Things like that I had to go through, but I went through it. And although, I wasn't a perfect straight A student for the most part, I still made it through. That was definitely a struggle in school. What is your biggest life lesson you've learned thus far? One of the biggest life lessons I guess that I've learned so far is that, not everyone is going to like you or be your friend. No matter what you do, there's always going to be drama, I feel like, in life. So you kind of just have to do what makes you happy. I remember throughout college, there was a lot of times where I'd have people who didn't like the decisions I made or the things that I did. And I mean, looking at it now, does it matter now? During high school, I wish I had learned that back then, is that, just keep on living your life without other people's opinions, because I used to really care about what other people would think. I mean, I still kind of do care about what they think of me, but at the same time, you have to do things that make you happy and do things for your life. You can only control your life. So I feel like that's something that if I were to tell my younger self that none of the things that you're going through right now matters or will matter in the future, I wish that I could have told myself that. If you're going through stuff, think about it in the next 5, 10, 15 years. Sometimes it's just not going to really be a big deal. And I wish I didn't make things in the past such a big deal. So hopefully that answers the question. Sunji! So Sun asked, if you hadn't fallen in love with ultrasound, what career would you have gone into? Honestly, probably a teacher. I always really say this all the time, is that every year I would love my teachers so much. Starting from elementary school all the way to middle school, even high school, I had such amazing teachers that they made me want to become a teacher. And I probably would have become a teacher if I didn't do ultrasound. I honestly still might even become a teacher. I really, really give them props. They're the ones who are teaching you guys, you children, you high schoolers, you college students. They have the knowledge and they're going to teach you. That's the future. I mean, I want to be an impact in people's lives. And so that's why I do YouTube and what I'm doing right now, because I want to help other people. But honestly, I give teachers so much credit because they have a hard job. They have to do a lot and they get kind of little in return. So definitely thank your teachers and your professors for what they do, because I believe that they do it because they like what they do. They don't get paid enough. They don't get enough credit. Definitely I would have wanted to be a teacher. Teacher. And then my favorite and least favorite part about ultrasound. My favorite part about ultrasound would be, it's a very independent job, so no one's telling me what to do. I get to decide what I'm doing, as far as, grabbing the patient, scanning the patient, it's kind of like I know what I'm doing, so I just go do my thing. So it's not like, someone's telling you what to do every second. But you know, that comes with time and that comes with experience. I really enjoy talking to patients when I can and when they're capable of talking, because they tell me their life stories or they tell me life lessons. I love to joke around with them and try to make them feel a little bit better before, you know, they leave my room. I just want to make sure that they know that there's someone here that really genuinely cares about them and that they know they're getting the best service that they can. I try to make sure everyone gets the same amount of, you know, quality and compassion, and I just want to make sure that if my family was getting treated by someone, you know, that's how I would want them to be treated. So that's what I love about ultrasound. My least favorite part about ultrasound, you know, it's hard because you all know I love my job, but my least favorite part, I guess, would be when doctors okay, my boyfriend's gonna kill me. When doctors order exams that are unnecessary or incorrect, or at that point when we have to investigate the patient, which you're always going to be investigating the patient to make sure that they're getting the right care and the right exam. But when things like this or mistakes are happening because not you, but because of other situations, then it kind of comes back and falls back on you as an ultrasound tech. Sometimes they'll order veins, but it's really an artery exam. Sometimes they'll order artery exams, but it should be for the veins. You know, a patient will come in for lower pelvic pain, but they get an abdomen ultrasound for some reason when they should get a pelvic ultrasound, or they come for abdomen pain and they get a pelvic ultrasound. It's just all these things that I feel like could be avoided, but unfortunately it's just how the medical system works, and honestly that's probably my least favorite thing about it. But it's just job security, so we just do it. Doctor is the one that orders the exams and we just do our job. Do you need a high GPA to get accepted into the program? Honestly, it depends on the program that you go to, but your GPA should be higher than what is expected. So for example, the GPA I think that my program was at the time probably was actually lower, maybe like 3.0 at the time or something low. But you should have a higher GPA than what is expected because you're going to be competing with so many people. These programs are very competitive and you're going to want to have a higher GPA than everybody else to make sure and ensure that you are going to get into the program. Do we need critical thinking to be a sonographer? Yes, absolutely. You definitely need critical thinking. There are times where you're gonna have to come up with a decision on the spot. There are times where you're gonna be working by yourself and you have to figure out how to fix something or how to get through a situation or an issue. Sometimes you're gonna have to just ask the doctor what you should do, but at the end of the day, you should have a lot of critical thinking knowledge because you're gonna need to know in a ton of different situations what you should do. So yeah, definitely have a critical thinking mindset going into the sonography field. What is the hardest thing you confronted as a YouTuber? Well, in the beginning, I was getting a lot of like nasty comments and a bunch of dislikes. Every time I uploaded a video, I would get like 4, 5, up to 7 dislikes. And honestly, I shouldn't even care about dislikes. So in the beginning, it was just really frustrating at first because I was like, why are all these dislikes coming? But now I really just don't care about them. They're just a number and just a button. That's not doing anything to me personally. It's just in the beginning, I think that was like the hardest thing because I was getting nasty comments, and also every time I uploaded a video, like right away I was getting all these dislikes. But that's way past me now and it is what it is. Why did you choose to pursue sonography? Answer that question already. I've never been to Disneyland. I know you probably gasped right then. Yes, that's so crazy. I love when people tell me they've never been to Disneyland because I've been so many times. I really wish I could take everyone to Disneyland with me. But can you elaborate on the experience? Maybe tell why it's so magical even for adults. So you guys know I love Disney. Honestly, my love for Disney, it sprouted from my parents. They dressed me up in Disney clothes when I was younger. I love Disney because it's just a sentimental thing for me. It's kind of my escape from reality. I can't ever really be upset there, and you know, if I am upset there, it's probably for a good reason. But I never find myself being upset at Disney. I'm always happy. It's like my happy place, my happy world. There are things that will make me emotional. There are shows that will make me cry. I mean, I've cried at every single one of their shows, from the World of Color in DCA to, you know, Mickey and the Magical Map, and then Fantasmic. You know, like literally, I think it's because it's intertwined into my blood and my family and me growing up, you know, and I've had so many experiences there. I think that's why it's so emotional to me. So any other crazy Disneyland fan will say the same exact thing, and that some people just can't understand because they don't have that connection with Disney like we do. So if you have kids, for example, which I don't have kids, but if you had kids, and say that you dressed them up with like Disney all their life, they grew up, you know, watching Disney movies and being a part of Disney, and then you always took them to the parks and it was just like your thing. Like, that's why it's magical when you grow up and you go back. It's kind of like the nostalgia of everything, or just it being a happy place. They're really about bringing magic and happiness to you and your life. I just love Disney so much because it reminds me of my childhood and all the good times I've ever had. I mean, if you guys go back, way back, all my videos, I have over 40 vlogs at Disneyland. And every single one of those I made personally. I made them with love, and for me to look back and to live back those memories. And I mean, now with Disneyland being closed, it's crazy. Disneyland's never been closed for this long, but you know, everyone that loves it still will go back no matter how high and ridiculous the prices are. They will still return to Disney because that's how much they love Disney. So, you know, as an adult, you will see children smiling, laughing, having the time of their lives, and you're creating memories with your friends and your family. So not only just regular memories, but memories with good food, fun rides, characters that are so fun to see and just exude happiness. So yeah, that's why I think that Disneyland is just really amazing, even for adults. Going there with your friends and your family just to have a good time, it's really worth it to create the memories. You should definitely go. I feel like everyone should definitely go at least once in their life. And if you need someone to go with, I'll go with you. All right, you guys, we're coming through. We're chugging along. We're almost there. How does it work to be registered in pediatrics? Do they teach a lot about it in the general program? To be registered in pediatrics, you honestly don't really learn pediatrics in school in general. You are going to learn pediatrics out in the field. So you will definitely learn it if you're in a hospital setting. Children are going to come into the hospital and you're going to learn how to scan them and the types of exams that you do with children. There are a couple of pediatric exams that are very common, which are, you know, checking for appendicitis, checking for intussusception, checking for pyloric stenosis. Those are some things that you're going to learn out in the field, and especially like baby brains, you're going to learn that in the field too, because you don't really learn that in general unless your lab teacher is really cool and like someone has a baby or something, and you can get them to bring in the baby into the lab and they can maybe teach you how to do a baby brain. But to be honest, you don't really learn that in lab, and you're going to learn that out in the field in clinicals. So then once you've learned how to scan pediatrics and you're ready to take your pediatric registry exam, you're going to need somebody who already has their registry. So you need somebody who has taken the pediatric board exam, fill out your paperwork for you through ARDMS, signing and stating that you know how to do pediatric exams and that you have scanned pediatric exams. They're basically vouching for you and saying that you know what you're doing and you are capable of sitting in for the ARDMS pediatric board exam. That's how you get registered. Right now, you know, I learned all my pediatric stuff in the hospital, and now I'm studying for the pediatric board exam. So my coworker signed that paperwork for me, and when I'm ready to take the board exam, I just turn that paperwork in with all the other requirements that they ask you for, and then you basically apply to take the test, and then you sign up for the test, and then you take the test. And I'm gonna take the test sometime next year. I just don't know when. Sometime next year. I heard that it's hard to find ultrasound tech jobs because of the fact that when people get a job, they practically never leave until retirement. Is that true? Okay, so since you've heard that, It probably is true, but I'll say here in Vegas, it pretty much is true, because a lot of times people love their jobs. The job is pretty secure, and a lot of times you don't really have work-related injuries unless you really do something to hurt yourself. And people can scan all the way till their late 60s, even 70s if they wanted to. Sometimes it is hard to find a job because some people aren't retiring when they should. It just is what it is though, because it's such a good field. It's a job where people love what they do, so you know, if you don't need to retire just yet, people are going to stay there. I mean, in the outpatient facility that I work at, a lot of them have been working for over 20 years. And then there's another hospital system here in the valley. I know that a lot of their full-time techs are going to be there for quite some time, so not a lot of full-time positions open up right away. And when you come out of school as a new grad, most of the time you're going to have to find a job that's per diem or part-time, because not a lot of people leave their positions unless they're retiring or unless they are moving out to another city or something. So just be prepared for that. I mean, it is already kind of hard to find a job in general, but your main goal is to get hired right away from your clinical site, or you're probably going to make sure that you are so good that your clinical site will recommend you somewhere else, or you'll get recommendations from them for other jobs. Do your best in clinicals, try to stand out, try to show them how badly you want it. Network. It's all about who you know and where they can put you, or who has an opportunity for you. And also, don't be afraid to move or relocate for some experience, because you can always just go get some experience somewhere for a year and then come back to where you want to settle down and get that job that you've been always wanting. It's kind of hard at first, but you gotta just put 1000% into trying to get that job from your clinical site and having them get you in the door somewhere as fast as you can. But yeah, definitely a lot of people don't retire early from this job because they like what they do. There are people who retire from it because they do end up unfortunately hurting themselves on the job, like with those musculoskeletal, issues. We're always in the same position with our arm. We're always like, so to prevent that, you need to use ergonomics. People are pretty much in this field for quite some time. Would you say sonography is more memorization or true understanding? I think it's both. I mean, memorization, definitely you need to memorize a ton of things. Ultrasound is knowing a lot of stuff. It's not just memorization, because you have to understand the concepts. You have to understand the anatomy and the physiology of it. So say somebody comes in with right upper quadrant pain, you're gonna need to know, okay, so they're coming in with right upper quadrant pain. I need to make sure I memorize my protocol for right upper quadrant exam, or if it's a full abdomen complete exam, you have to memorize that protocol. Make sure you're taking all these images and know that if you see something abnormal, you're kind of coming off of that protocol, taking all these pictures of the abnormalities, but then you have to get back into your protocol and keep on scanning the protocol, which is something that you memorize. But then you also have to understand, okay, so I need to make sure I pay attention to the gallbladder, because what if it's a stone? What if it's a dilated CBD? What if there's a stone in the CBD? Or what if there's something going on with the liver or the right kidney? So you have to not only memorize your protocol, but you have to understand the concepts of what you're looking at. You need to understand, say, their bilirubin, if it was high, like what does that mean? Or if their white blood cells are elevated, could that be an indicator for this? You have to know other things to be able to come up with a conclusion for your patient. And the more information that you know, the more background information, that'll help you. And you're going to know all these things, you're going to memorize all these things, but you're also going to understand a ton of things, anatomy wise, physiology wise, and that's all going to help you with scanning your patient and getting them the correct diagnosis for the doctor. You are going to have memorization. You're going to have to memorize a lot of different things like blood thinners. You're going to have to memorize some lab work. You're going to have to memorize what certain things are going to look like, what echogenic versus isoechoic versus anechoic is. Like those things you'll have to memorize, but then there are going to be times where you need to actually understand and know what you're doing and what you're looking at. Honestly, understanding things more is better than memorizing, but a lot of what we do is memorization. And trust me, in your clinicals and in your labs and in your school, they're gonna teach you all of that ultrasound knowledge. Don't be afraid to learn and keep asking questions. Any tips for self-doubt as an aspiring ultrasound student? It's gonna come every other day, if not every day, where you're going to most likely doubt yourself, and that's okay. Remember that you're just a student. We've all been there before, where we're just learning. We are brand new to everything, and we want to make sure we get everything right and we do everything perfect. At the end of the day, you want to give yourself grace. You want to remind yourself that you're just a student and that you're just learning, and you're in the process of learning everything that you possibly can. So you're gonna have a lot of doubt. I mean, there are days today where I still have a doubt and I'm like, is this correct? Is this the right thing? Am I saying this right? Am I using the correct terminology? Is this what I really think it is? If you need to take a step back and ask for help or ask for advice, talk to your peers about it, talk to your mentors if you trust them enough, and just let them know how you're feeling. I remember when I would feel self-doubt as a student, I would talk to my mentor and tell her straight up, and she would really just give it to me straight. If you ever need someone to talk to, my inbox is always open, my email is always open down below at lolgeselle@gmail.com. You can always join my Discord, where a ton of us, we're all in this together and we're all here to help you, support you, and motivate you. Just reach out for help. Don't keep it inside, because it can get really stressful. It can get lonely. You can start to have these thoughts and just overthink. The moment you start talking about it and how you feel, the easier it'll get. Doubt really can sneak through at any time, any point of the day, and any point of your studying, even in your clinicals. So definitely reach out to somebody that you love, your family or your friends, and just let them know how you feel. Some other things I would do is maybe take a step back, take a breather, remind yourself why you got into this field in the first place, and just kind of try to find some motivation somewhere. Sometimes I just YouTube motivation, and all these like motivational videos come up, and sometimes you just need to hear that and to remind yourself why you need to push through and why you need to keep going. Nothing in life comes easy, and trust me, this field is very difficult, especially the whole learning process, especially in clinicals. So you're gonna need to lean on somebody, you're gonna have to lean on others, and also just know that you're not alone, because we have all gone through it. I am here for you. If you need someone to talk to, don't hesitate to message me on Instagram, on Facebook, in my Discord. I'm there to listen to you 100% and to give you my full advice. Just remember why you started and never give up on your dreams. If I gave up every single time I had self-doubt in the past, I wouldn't be where I am today. Never give up and keep on pushing forward, and keep your eye on the prize, and just remember that there is a sweet, sweet reward for you. At the end of clinicals, you are going to actually be able to go out there in the field and do something that you love and make good money doing it. How does travel sonography work? Most of the time, travel sonography is usually going to be you working for an agency or a company, and they're going to send you off somewhere. Say they have a contract, say it's for like 13 weeks. Sometimes they will pay for your cost of living, for your food. Sometimes they won't. So it just depends on the travel agency or the company that you're working for. There are people who need you at a certain place at a certain time. Sometimes these things are like when people in small towns get pregnant and they need, someone to fill in. There are different reasons why somebody would need you as a contractor, and you're going to go out there to their hospital or outpatient facility in some other city or place that you don't reside in, and they're going to compensate you for your travel and for the time being, and you usually get paid more during these kinds of gigs. I'm going to insert Tamika. She is I've Got This ×2 here. She has a whole entire video about traveling as an ultrasound technologist and the perks of traveling, so hopefully you can go and check out her video and see what it's like to be a travel sonographer. What should I wear to the program interview? Doesn't matter. better? Well, to the program interview, you just want to wear something, you know, professional. I'd probably stick with business casual so that they know you're serious and that you are someone that is ready to work hard and to get into that program and show them how badly you want it. I don't have any experience in the healthcare field. Is that a big disadvantage for getting a job? No, that's not a big disadvantage at all, because when you go to clinical, you're gonna learn everything that you can in clinical and lab, and you really just need that experience to get a job. I mean, obviously any type of experience you have prior to school or during school, like if you're working retail or in the restaurant industry, any experience in customer service is going to help you in the healthcare field. That just shows that you know how to handle customers and how to greet people and how to just work with others. So if you don't have experience in the healthcare field, that shouldn't give you a disadvantage at all. What they really want to see is everything that you do during lab and clinical and school. They want you to have good recommendations from your professors, your mentors, and the people that teach you everything. So that's what's going to help you with your future. How do you prioritize multiple stat exams? So if you have multiple stat exams, you just do your best and you try to get through every single one of them with the same amount of care for each person. You don't want to rush yourself. You want to give yourself time to scan these patients. And a lot of times, if there's a lot of stats, the doctors understand. You just have to let them know that you're pretty busy or that you're backed up. Most of the time, there's going to be more than one of you. So if there's two of you, you're going to have some help there just trying to get these stat exams done. Now, if there's only just you, unfortunately, you can only move so fast and you can only scan so fast. And usually you're going to go in order of the stat exams. But say you tried to get one exam, they weren't ready, or they need medicine first, you're going to just move on to the next patient. Make sure you write a note saying that you attempted to do that other patient, and you're just going to keep going and then keep checking back when that patient is ready for you. In the hospital, you pretty much will learn that if you have multiple stat exams, you do them to the best of your ability and you try to get to every single one of them in a timely manner. You want to make sure that you're giving adequate time for yourself to scan these patients, write your report, and then grab the next patient. A lot of times hospitals do understand when it's super busy, especially if they have multiple stat exams. You'll just let the nurses and the doctors know, like, hey, I have this amount of exams and we are trying to get to your patient. We're trying to get to them as quickly as possible, and we'll get to them as soon as we can, because you're one person and you can only do one scan for so long and so quick. Just pace yourself and brace yourself. Are procedures scary, like biopsies and things involving needles? How did you adjust to them? They seem like a lot of pressure. Yeah, at first procedures were like really scary, but when I was a student in my clinical site, what I started off doing first were paracentesis. We do a lot of paracentesis procedures where we drain ascites fluid from the abdomen. At first it was like mind-blowing, but now you're just like, oh, a paracentesis. So it's kind of scary, but then once you see it multiple times, you get used to it. Especially like biopsies, for example, those can be really scary. Like the clicking sound that happens in a biopsy core procedure, like,
it's scary.
But it's more scary for the patient than it is for you as a tech. Just remember that you are there to help these patients through some of the scariest moments of their lives, and you have to be strong for them and be strong for yourself, and you're the one that has to explain everything to this patient about what's going to happen. You're the first point of contact when you see these patients, so you have to know what you're doing and you have to understand what you're doing. You kind of just get used to it and you adjust to it, because the more you see it, it's like, okay, I've seen it once, okay, I've seen it again, okay, now I'm more comfortable seeing it and doing it on my own. So that's going to happen to you when you're out in clinicals and your externship, is you're going to see a lot of these procedures and you're going to get scared at first, but you're going to get used to it just like anything else. Kind of like when you first wanted to learn how to ride a bike or learn how to drive a car. At first it seems really scary, but you kind of just get through it and you become more confident, and as the time goes by, needles won't even faze you. Okay, I have 2 more questions here. When you work graveyard, if you're not able to scan the patients after a certain time, what do you do with all that time? I do work a lot of graveyard shifts, and there are times where you can't scan any patients. Sometimes patients are sleeping and they don't want to be bothered. Sometimes you don't have any patients on your list. Sometimes the ER is quiet. And so what you would probably do is clean up all your machines, tidy up your office, clean up the ultrasound rooms. I would stock things, make sure that the biopsy and procedure cart is stocked. I would make sure I check for supplies. If there's anything that needs to be ordered, you'll write it on the board or you'll make a list or a note of it. There are health streams that you can do. Those are things that are required by most companies that you work for, and you want to make sure that you get your health streams done in time. So you could do those, but there have been times where people just like read a book, study. You want to keep yourself busy so that you don't fall asleep. But for the most part, you're going to be scanning during graveyard. ER never stops ordering stuff after a certain amount of time, and so you're going to scan those ER patients, or sometimes you're going to just go upstairs and scan patients at any time of the day. Sometimes patients that are intubated or ventilated, those are the times where you can scan those patients pretty easily because it's just very quiet on the floor. But for the most part, if you have downtime, try to keep yourself busy and clean up all of your stuff. Make sure you are double cleaning everything and making sure you're all stocked and good to go for the next day. And last question. So I'm sure in school and in clinical, you go through everything you will need to know when you go into the work field. But when you don't know something or aren't sure and you have to work by yourself, how do you ensure you're giving the patient the proper scan or best scan possible? So this is a really good question. You go through everything that you need to know, yes, in the work field, in clinicals, but when you're by yourself, it's a whole new world. When you're scanning on a graveyard shift by yourself or on a call shift scanning by yourself, it is really scary, but by the time you graduate, you should be comfortable and confident enough to know that no matter what type of scan or exam comes your way, that you're going to be able to give the patient the best scan that you possibly can. Now, there are times where you have to learn how to realize you can't see certain things, or you can't see some things through ultrasound on some patients. You're going to learn that. You're going to learn how to stop the exam and just say area because you can't really see in that area. And all of these things you're going to learn over time. When you graduate, you should be ready to conquer your fears and be able to work by yourself. No one's going to hold your hand. No one's going to tell you which pictures to take, and no one's going to tell you what you need to do. It's all up to you, and if something happens or you scan the wrong thing or you make a mistake, the radiologist will catch it and they will let you know, and you're going to learn from it. Not everyone is perfect, but you want to try to do the best scan that you possibly can. Remember that ultrasound is using sound waves, there's no radiation, and there are other tests like CAT scan, nuclear medicine, MRI, x-rays that are probably 100% better for this patient than an ultrasound is. But ultrasound is very tech dependent. So you as a tech have to make sure you did your best. You looked at all the areas that you were supposed to. You went the extra mile for the patient, and you searched everything that you could in the body, in the area that you're scanning, and that's how you give them the best scan. You basically just make sure you get everything that you can in the protocol, but not even just in the protocol. If they have a concern, you talk to them about the concern. You make sure they have their concerns addressed. You make sure you speak to the doctor, or you make sure they speak to the doctor, and you ask them if there's anything else that you can do for them after you finish the exam. If there's something you can do for them at the end of the day, do it if you can. If they need a blanket, if they need some water, you have to make sure that you talk to the nurse first. There are little things here and there you can do to go the extra mile to make sure that this patient feels like you address their needs and their worries. Truly, When you are scanning a patient, you are giving them the best scan possible because you are looking at everything that you possibly can, and even if you don't see anything on the exam and it comes back completely normal, I mean, that's you giving them the best exam possible. Now, yes, you can miss little tiny things, little tiny cysts that maybe CAT scan will pick up more and better than ultrasound will, but those are things that you can't beat yourself on, and just know that ultrasound is not a magic tool. Ultrasound is not magic, and it doesn't see everything that you possibly need to see. Sometimes appendicitis is there, but it's not seen on ultrasound. But you have to know that you gave your best and hardest look to find that appendix, or you gave your best and hardest look to find those ovaries, and sometimes you just can't see the ovaries. And you'll find out that there are times where you're going to try your hardest to get a really good exam for this patient, but the patient is going to be a really difficult patient and they will hinder you from giving them a really good quality exam. It all depends on you and how you feel, but just know that if you know deep down inside that you're really trying your hardest to find out what's wrong with this patient and you did your best on that exam, that's all the patient could really ask for, is that you tried your best to look for what's wrong in their body, and you have to be confident enough in this field to know that you are doing your best in general, because we can only do so much as an ultrasound tech. This is all very tech dependent, so don't be too hard on yourself when you get a difficult patient. But just know that when you graduate, you should have the confidence to do a scan, and even just to tell the doctor, hey, I scanned the area but I didn't see this. And that's you giving the patient the best exam because you tried your best, you tried your hardest to see it, and if you didn't see it, you just didn't see it. And a lot of times radiologists will tell me that. There's plenty of times where I didn't see something on a CAT scan and I'll tell the radiologist and they'll say, that's okay, you didn't see it, you didn't see it. But a CAT scan, that's why there's a CAT scan, they can see things that we can't see on ultrasound. So at the end of the day, how do you ensure yourself that you're giving them the best possible exam? You are just confident enough as a tech to know that you are giving them the best possible exam. You don't want to look back and say, oh my gosh, I wish I did this or I wish I did that. I mean, you're gonna learn with every single patient that you scan, you're gonna learn how to perfect your skills. You're gonna learn new things every single day. I'm still learning. There are techs that are 15-year, 20-year techs who still are learning things every single day and still seeing things every single day that they've never seen before. So remember, this field is a never-ending learning process. You're going to be learning things. I still learn things. Everyone still learns things. So don't be too hard on yourself, but just remember, you are human and humans make mistakes. You're not going to be perfect. You just want to aim to be perfect and try your hardest and your best to give these patients the best quality care you possibly can. All right, you guys, I bet you're tired of hearing me talk. When I edit this video, it's gonna be really crazy, but I'm just gonna end it here. Thank you all so much who submitted a question. Thank you so much. I really didn't think anyone was gonna send in questions, but I'm so happy you guys did send in questions and it makes me so happy. Just know that I'm here for you guys. Know that ultrasound is difficult, challenging, but rewarding. It's a good field. Don't give up. Don't give up on your dreams. And know that you have someone here that is willing to talk to you and to give you advice. So if you ever need me, you guys know where to find me. Thank you guys for sitting through that whole entire thing. As always, be kind to one another, stay safe, stay positive, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.